all the poets and writers in India, Turkey, and around the world. Today we are having a book release event by a Turkish poet and author Arda of her Turkish novel Besibiryarde. So before I go further, this is something for the Turkish viewer. Merhaba arkadaşlar. Ben Hindistan Allahabad'dan Şamenaz. Ben editör, çevirmen, şair ve yazarım. Bugün misafirin Türkiye'den şair ve yazar Muhsine Arda. Onun yeni romanın Besibiryarde'yi konuşacağız. İkinci misafirin moderator Tarık Günersel. O da şair yazar. Hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Muhsine Arda benim sevgili Türk kardeşim. Please forgive me if I have pronounced anything wrong because I'm just learning Turkish. So I hope you will forgive me. So today we have a moderator, Tarık Günersel, who is another playwright and writer from Turkey. But let me introduce Muhsine Arda ma'am first. Muhsine Arda ma'am is a poet and writer from Turkey. She is very popular around the world. She actively participate in poetry event. She has also participated in two women poet within and beyond shore organized by Progressive Literary and Cultural Society. And she is a bilingual writer who write both in Turkish and English. She was born in Turkey in 1952. Between 1980 and 1997, she lived in Great Britain, Germany, Saudi Arabia, and United States of America and traveled extensively around the world. Her first poetry book, Erkek Gibi Kadın, was published in 1992. For her short story Yalçın Dokunmalar, she was honored with O. S. Fetin Award in 1997. She has been the editor for Dekili Ekin, a literary periodical, since 1999. Her essay Dizem Tebuli was launched in January 2018. Her other poetry book Marmaradan Yükselin Dalgalar, which was published in 2000, and Akshini and Guzel Yani, which was published in 2001, and Bakire Sevinci, published in 2017, Sergey Yurek, published in 2018. Her novel Intihar Gozyas Lari was published in 2015. Her novel has been translated into many international languages like Swedish and Spanish. After leaving her teaching post at New York University in 1997, she moved back to Bursa, Turkey. And recently she has published a Turkish novel, Besibiryarde. So, I welcome you, ma'am, in my show. And we have another great writer from Turkey, Tarık Günersel, who is a poet and playwright. Born in 1953, Tarık Günersel worked at Istanbul Metropolitan Theatre. He is former president of PEN Turkey and board member of PEN International. He contributed to the formation of World Poetry Day. His mosaic epic Breath of Infinity has evolved in 1970s, partly published in several books of poetry and fiction. His plays include Nero and Agrippina, Armored Wolf on Mehmet IV, Threat on Tolstoy, and thus Laugh Zarathustra, based on Nietzsche and Millennium. Günersel opera Liberty from Salman Ada include Ali Baba and 40 Thief, which is a German production at Wuppertal in 2012, Purple Planet and Nine Reflection, Dancing Anna Frank, a chamber opera which was composed by Daniel Gallet and premiered in Tel Aviv in 2016. Sandification is about his years in Saudi Arabia. His translation also include Arthur Miller, Mr. Peter Connection, and William Shakespeare iconic masterpiece drama Hamlet. Yeah, he has one daughter and two grandchildren, and he can be easily connected through his email and his website, which is www.tariqgunersal.com and tgunersal@gmail.com. So, welcome, Tariq Gunersal. Before we begin our launch, I request Muhsine Arda ma'am to show us your book.
Hello again. This is my new book, and its title is Besibiryarde. And thank you very much for the lovely introduction, Dr. Shahmenaz. Do you have any questions for me?
I just want to ask you, ma'am, what is the significance of the title Besibiryarde? Since we are non-Turkish speakers, so I am curious to know the significance of the title.
Besibiryarde is actually a game with the words. And Besibiryarde, when it's written together, it is the name of a gold coin which is given to the brides during the weddings in Turkey. And usually they wear five of them together around their necks. And these golden coins are kind of the guarantee of the future of the bride. But when you say the words separately, beş, bir, yerde, it means five of them are together. So uh, there is a significant role of this golden coins in this novel, and I have got five main characters, five women. That's why I chose Besibiryarde.
So, is this a symbolic title?
Yes, it is a symbolic title.
Okay.
It's a symbolic title, and on the cover book, I'm not. Can you see that there is a lovely necklace the woman is wearing, and then five of Bishbiriyade are on her neck, and this makes a love connection comes to the children with love.
Okay.
So that is the title.
Thank you so much. Now we have Tariq Gunersal sir. He will ask you question relating your novel and other writing. Welcome, Tariq sir.
Hello, Dr. Shaminas. First, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I want to express my respect and admiration for the Indian culture. And the 14th century Indian thinker, philosopher, wise person Narayana is among my favorites. I want to mention that. Dear Muhsine, your first novel, uh, the Tears of Suicide, İntihar Gözyaşları, was about, or is about, the effects of suicide on the people around the person who committed suicide. Focused on that, hoping that reading your novel will help people give up the idea of suicide. So you tackled
Yes.
a problem and you wanted to contribute to the solution, actually. Um, so just like in theater there are problem plays, yours is in a way a problem novel. How about the second novel? You also attack a problem in your second novel. Would you please give us a little bit of information? What kind of problem did you
Yes, I
tackle?
do. Yes, I do. And in my first novel, Gözyaşları, uh, really I tackled a problem of committing suicide, and actually, it's not the suicide but the aftermath of suicide. And by this way, I try to tell to people that do not give up your life. Life is beautiful. I love I love writing about the social issues and problems. And yes, my second novel, Besibiryarde, is also tackling a problem, a social problem, a social problem of the women who have disabled children. And maybe there are a lot of books, I don't know, but people usually write about the disability and the children's struggle with life, which is perfectly all right, and it should be taught and written about it. But somehow I thought that nobody is paying attention to the lives of the mothers of these children. And these women are struggling in life. Then, because I began to notice that women are left alone, and so I said, why don't I write a novel to bring the awareness, to create the awareness about the wonderful mothers who are taking care of their disabled children. Yes. And unmute yourself.
Thank you. What, what, how did you prepare for this novel? What was the preparation process?
Thank you. Well, preparing this novel took me a long time. Maybe 6, 7 years ago, I had the idea, and so I started looking around and trying to talk to the women. And but it was very difficult because most of the women who had a disabled child, they didn't want to talk at the beginning, and when they talk about it, they always wanted to talk about the achievements of their children, which I understand it's a very motherly feeling. But uh, it is very, very sensitive subject to ask a woman uh, how how she felt about herself when she learned the disability of her child, or when the child is growing, and unfortunately, it seems that a very high percentage, more than 85% actually, uh, in Turkey and in the Middle East, uh, men are leaving their wives to deal with their children, and so the women are suddenly becoming a mother of a disabled child and also a divorced woman or a left alone woman. So I started really interviewing lots of women, and then I realized that I should also read a lot of medical papers and medical books, because if you are writing about something that you know, you really have to search for it. So it took me more than 3 years to read medical papers, which is very difficult. I'm not a doctor, and it seems that all over the world, either English or Turkish, the doctors are using a very, very specific language. So I had to ask a lot of doctors, from a gynecologist to a neurologist and child neurologist and psychiatrists, speech therapists. So I had to ask them the questions, and how can I write this about these subjects in the right sense without giving any wrong information, because it's a very sensitive subject. And they were very happy, and and it was very funny. Sometimes with a doctor, I was discussing the issue for 2 days, 3 days in a row, and I was reading and reading, and then when I write about the issue, I sent the paragraphs to the doctor. Could you please check it? And edited. And they were saying, oh my God, we discussed this subject all these days behind us, and you read this, and you just wrote just one paragraph. Yes, it was so interesting. I did a lot of research, and then which came to only maybe 3 sentences. But it was very, very important that whatever I have written, it is medically is a correct knowledge for those years, and that's why then I should give the right solutions or how it affects the lives. At the end of the book, I say to my readers now from novel to today's reality, and I recommend them, please, this is a novel, and there is a lot of medical development on these subjects, which is very happy for the world, and so they should consult their doctors. But I prepared, and really it took me intensively 3 years. And during this Corona lockdowns, I really insistently, without getting out of my desk, I worked 8 months. That's my preparation.
Wonderful. So on you're not an armchair novelist. You are a novelist who goes out into the field, does research, which is very important. Uh, and you have also included siblings, brother, sister, right? In addition
Yes,
to mothers.
yes.
What was that?
Uh, I have had all my life. It's maybe that's why this was my destiny as a writer to write about this subject. All my life, from as long as I know myself, I have had, or we have had, some neighbors who had disabled children, this way or that way for this reason. And one of these was in Germany, a neighbor of mine, and she had a disabled child and a fantastically healthy, thank God, a lovely, lovely daughter after the disabled child. And now that she's almost 40 years, after all those years, I was in touch with her, and then because her mother cannot speak English very well, and then somehow my German is not enough to talk about this very sensitive subjects. I have forgotten half of my German after years. And so she was the translator between the mother and me, and whereas the mother at the end said that this is far too painful for her, she doesn't want to talk about the subject anymore, which I understand perfectly well and I respect. And then I was talking with the daughter, and then she told me, Muhsine, why don't you write about us either? And I was really surprised. It's so funny that you live with them, but you still don't see. So I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I am a sister of a disabled child, and nobody ever paid any problems that I have had. So I had to save a lot of time, and then we talked a long time on WhatsApp, and then she told me her problems, and then I realized that yes, just seeing and looking are quite different. So I became quite aware of that the siblings of the disabled children are also having lots of problems because of their sisters or brothers, which has to be mentioned, and it to bring out to the audiences. So then again, I have to work on my novel, try to put these problems. And yes, when I talk about a lot of ladies and siblings, I have to make up my mind that how I am going to create that character, because this is not a novel of anybody's specific story, or it's not based on a real character. They are all fictional, my own created characters, and then I have to find a way to bring the siblings to this novel too. So I hope I managed.
Great. And in some of your poems, uh, we see that there are various characters, people speaking. So you
Yes,
become the voice of a variety of people expressing their problems, their questions. Um, uh, how about your writing habits? Do you usually write in the morning or at night, or what? Do you first write on the in a notebook or directly on the computer? What are your preferences?
thank you. Well, yes. I don't know why, but I find that it is my kind of duty that I put on my own shoulders to tackle the problems, especially the problems of the women of the world. So I try to be their voice in my poems, in my short stories, and in my novels. Well, when I write, it's very interesting that there is a quite a different way how I write. I write my poems in the middle of the night. It's usually about 2 or 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. And I think the inspiration comes to me only in the night when it's dark. And so sometimes I curse the inspiration that I have to get up and give up my sleep and then write my poem. Because sometimes when I do not get up and write, then I lose the poems. And in the morning, whatever I remember, try to write, then it's not exactly the same sound I find. So poetry is for me is something that I write in the evenings. For novels, it's quite different. It's quite different. I write it during the daytime, and I write it actually with pen into different. Look at this. This is my from Besibiryarde. I have got almost 5 of these notebooks about Besibiryarde for 5 different women. Uh, I'm not a morning person, so in the morning when I woke up, usually I'm not a good person. I'm very grouchy, so I try to vegetate in bed at least an hour. And during this vegetation, I start dreaming about my novel, what I am going to write that day. And I write it in my mind, and then after having breakfast, I sit at the table, and then I start writing. I write it with pen because I'm not a good typist, and my typing speed is not really matching my brain's speed. And my pen, sometimes I write half of the word, but then later on I can see it. And then I work, and after some time, I start putting them on the computer. That's how I write. So novels are the daytime children, and poems are my midnight children.
Very good. Um, I now remember Tesla, about whom I've written something. Uh, Tesla used to stay in bed in the morning and imagine, think about his inventions in bed, finish
That
a
is
lot of
interesting.
things. Yes, and then he would wait. I after learning this, I started not to get up as soon as I have woken up. I prefer to, just as you do, to think and have an idea and then get up and work on it.
That's it.
Yes, and so uh, when we talk about the justice mechanism, usually we think of a prosecutor, lawyer, defendants, judges, Supreme Court, etc., etc., higher court, and we include press, media, and public conscious in a way. But I think, thanks to writers like you, literature and drama are also part of the judicial mechanism, because when you on problems and invite people to contribute to the solutions of similar problems, those problems, you are actually acting as a person of justice as well. What do you think?
That's true. That's true. I think that a writer is, at first hand, as a prosecutor, it puts the problem and then what is happening and what is the guilty parties doing. And then a writer is again the defendant lawyer. And so that we are trying to show that what is right and what about the rights and what are the ways to defend ourselves. For example, for women issues that I tackle a lot, and a lot of women are subject to the sexual harassment and going to the up to the rape problem, which is also a very big problem in India too, and in Turkey and all over the world, actually, all over the world. And so, yes, while we are trying to write about it, we are trying to bring justice and awareness. If a lawyer, if a judge is reading our books, they also they also get another angle to look at the problem, I suppose. And the victims, of course, also also get another angle for that, how to tackle the problems. This happened in a very interesting way that I have got a book, I've got a novel about intihar gözyaşları, as you know. And in one of the book fairs, a woman came and said that, why didn't you write this book 3 years ago? I was really surprised. And I said, I mean, you can be asked a lot of questions as a writer, but this wasn't the question that you expect at all. So I asked her, why 3 years? What is the importance? I couldn't get it. And she said, 3 years ago, I came home unexpectedly and I found my husband in bed with another man. And in that anger, right away, after kicking them out of the house, both of them, she went to the cabinet that where she puts all the medication. She swallowed a lot of medication and tried to commit suicide. And very luckily, somebody came back, and maybe her husband and the neighbors, and found her, and they saved her. And she said, when I was at the hospital, when I saw the eyes of my child and begging me, mother, don't die. And she said, I wish that you had written your book 3 years ago and I have read your book, then I wouldn't commit suicide. On the other hand, this was really very powerful something. And on the other hand, I have a poem about a man who hit his wife non-stop. And in the poem, I mentioned that his son is also hitting his wife and then killed his wife. So the wife is in the next grave to the man, and the son is in the prison. So I write this poem from the voice of the mother, the woman. And interestingly, from Mersin, somebody wrote to me that, how on earth did you know my life story? I said, excuse me, I don't know. She said, well, it is very interesting that you experience the same problems like me. So where are your children? So I talked to her. We talked on the telephone. I said, I don't have any children, and I didn't have these problems, but I observed life, and it's very interesting that it fitted your problems. And then she told me that, well, tell me then what to do. Very interesting. I said, well, just as a woman, I will recommend you this and that. And she said, but if you know, you can tell us how the really justice can come out of it. So, yes, you are right. I mean, we are not in the law practice. We are not judge, we are not a lawyer, but when we tackle a problem about women or about any other issues that, of course, are victims of men and children, so yes, we are trying to give a perspective to the readers, think about from another angle, approach the problem from different, in a different way. Maybe then you can judge it in your mind, and then when a person starts thinking, I think we win as the writers, we win as the judges, we win as the human beings.
Yes.
I don't answer your question.
Yes, and also the word disability. I think every person has a disability, this way or that way. Usually, we are not aware of our disabilities, our blocks. We are blocked inside, and communication is an area where most people suffer from this disability, including myself, I think. For a long time, for half a century, I have been comfortable in front of the audience or on stage or speaking to a group of people, but I always found it difficult to buy a loaf of bread from the grocer, how to make up a sentence in daily life. For me, it was always difficult. And I received therapy for 12 years, and I would like to mention this. There is a lot of information, knowledge, experience wonderful people all around the world know and they experience things, but they do not express them. So I think they can, maybe they should, find writers and say, these are some of the interesting and important things that happened in my life. Would you kindly use them and write fiction, short stories, or whatever? Um, I think, I hope more cooperation will be there will be more cooperation between people.
Actually, you are right about that. Can you unmute? Can you unmute? Echo. You are very right about it, and then some people should really bring it out. This is actually exactly what happened when I was writing the book, because I knew my first friend as a disabled child, my childhood friend, who had a meningitis. I don't know whether it's the right word in English. It's a meningitis, and the child became kind of crippled and with a speech problem. And then I had another friend that who had a brother. The brother was chained in the place that where they could keep their coal for winter, because in those years it was very difficult. There were not nappies, nothing, and I don't know. So absolutely beautiful position. And then I have had a lot of friends who had children with Down syndrome. So I began to think that I would write about Down syndrome, because the others are really different medical problems that I don't know. But then a friend of mine asked me, why don't you write about autism? I said, oh my God, what is that? And she said, well, autism is another problem disabling our kids, and the number of disability, autism is really increasing somehow in the world. So I said, okay, all right, then blessing and kind of cursing my friend, because then I had to do lots of research about autism. Then another lady asked me, why don't you write about brain disabilities? Because asphyxia disabilities, they call it, when there is not enough oxygen to brain, and the brain got damaged. Yes. So yes, you are right. Because I thank to my friend that who really kind of pushed me to write about autism. Yes, people maybe should really approach to the writers that with their problems, and then we can write about it, because there is a very good way of literature, which is in the novels, that based on the reality novels. For example, American James Michener writes like that, based on the reality novels, the country's geologic background, and people's background, religious background, and political background, and everything is based on reality, but the characters are fiction. And he brings out incredibly a cultural insight in a book. For example, he writes about Poland, and when you read his book, you really know about Poland or about the United States. And yes, there are based on the reality novels like this. For example, years ago, there was one book about asparagum. I don't remember it. Yes, that was a love story.
Asperger syndrome.
Asperger's, yes, thank you very much. Asperger's syndrome. So that was lovely. So really, people should tell us, and communication is the biggest problem all over the world. Uh, it is actually coming from a social problem to the real problem. Like you had it, and but because you are coming from a very educated family and you are yourself very educated, you realized it, or somebody realized in your family, and you got the therapy for it. There are lovely, wonderful speech therapists around. When I came to Turkey, 1997, back to Turkey, nobody knew about dyslexia. And I noticed that two of my, in different times, I told the families that their kids are really dyslexic. And with one family, I had to fight a lot. And they have been taking the child to the psychiatrist, and incredibly enough that with the psychiatrist I had to fight, because the psychiatrist was saying that no, he's just a hyper child, but not dyslexic. And I supposed he didn't. And later on, I sent the child to the United States and got there examined, and then got a dyslexic report, and now he finished the university. So I think that really, really, if maybe somebody has written a novel about dyslexia 20, 25 years ago in Turkey, I suppose I shouldn't have those fights until I save the child. Yes, the writers should be the voice of the problems, in medical problems like any disability, social problems, and human rights, of course, and friendship and brothership, sistership.
Yes, and at this point, I think Dr. Shaminaz Sheikh will agree that as writers, we can invite everybody in the world to express themselves, write a few things, talk about, write their problems. Writing has a therapeutic effect. Reading is therapeutic, and so is writing. And but unfortunately, most people say I cannot write, but they can. Everybody can write. It doesn't have to be a novel or a poem or a
Yes.
short story. Writing anything, whatever you wish to. Don't you agree, Dr. Shamina?
Yes, sure. And if you have read British literature, you must have heard the name of Charles Lamb. He is also famous as his with his nickname Elia. So he had a very tragic life. His brother died at a young age, and his sister became a mentally retarded person and who stabbed her own mother. So, and he was in love with a lady whom he was not able to marry due to certain circumstances. So, for writing was a therapy for him, and he used to divert his mind towards writing because he had lots of problems in his life. So by writing, his mind used to be peaceful. And same I have seen the case with many writers around the world. And even I feel when if I have any problem in my life, I divert myself towards writing, because I think writing or reading both are like a therapy. And there are many writers who are proof of it, like they have lots of problem in their personal life, so they have diverted their minds to writing and or reading, and this both writing and reading have proved to be a therapy for them. And I just want to ask you both one question, and like ma'am was asking about dyslexia. So, if you have seen a movie, since Amir Khan is very popular in Turkey, there is a famous movie by Amir Khan, Tare Zameen Par. I don't know what is the Turkish name of it. And in that movie, he has focused on dyslexia. Before that, there was no awareness in India about dyslexia. And when he made this movie, then people were aware. So, whether it is literature or cinema, everything is part of art. So, we can make people aware through writing, through cinema. And even, I was talking about autism. Uh, Once there was a serial on Star Plus, Meri Antara. I think I don't remember the exact title. That was on autism. Before that, people were not aware about autism also. So, through literature or through other means of art, we can educate people and we can also divert our mind uh, uh, towards these good things so that we are away from problems and other difficulties of life. So, I want to ask from you, have you seen that movie by Amir Khan? Since Amir Khan is very popular in Turkey.
No, I have not seen it, but I will. I want to now. Thank you. Uh, yes,
I
and
haven't seen it yet.
this I want to show, uh, thanking Muhsine again for this book, and she has signed it for me and my wife. And at introduction, uh, there's a uh, there's an aphorism by Confucius: uh, find a way, or open a way, or move away.
Yes,
I think we need to, most of the time in life, there are no ready ways, roads. We need to build roads. And literature is the good literature. Real literature is paving a path towards a better life for all humanity
yes, yes.
and other living beings.
In the same way, there is a
That's
quotation.
true.
In the same way, there is a quoting.
If there is
Yes,
no
that
opportunity,
If there is no
if there is no opportunity,
uh,
then create it. So if you are not getting an opportunity, you should
yes,
create it. And I liked all
yes,
your
yes,
views a lot, ma'am. Through see, there are two schools of thought in literature. If you people are aware of, there is art for art's sake, and there is art for social change. So Arda's ma'am writings belong to art for social change. See, these two
yes,
school of thought are great in their own aspect. We need the literature for art's sake also, since literature is an art form, but we need literature for social change also. So if that.
that's true. Well, in Turkey, we say art is for art and art for social issues. Yes, maybe you can separate them, but I think that any writer or any poet actually cannot be separated too much. Number one is yes, art is for art, but maybe some extremists and very self-centered writers or painters can choose it, but some people can still find social issues from them too. But so, with respect to those art for art, choosing writers and artists or any other art form, if certainly that I have to categorize myself, if I am pushed to that, yes, I am the person that art for the social purposes, because if nobody is reading my books, why I am writing? I am writing for the other people. I am writing to convey my ideas. I am writing to convey my thoughts. So it means that it's for the others. And if it is only for my fantasies, a fantasy with playing with the words, a fantasy with playing with the colors and irregular drawings, then it is only for my pleasure, and maybe a certain amount of people may enjoy it, but I do prefer that I write for much more, many more people, and the whole country, the whole world, and all the women of the world, and all the sisters and brothers of this world. So in this case, yes, I think that art is for being together in social life and socially writing, socially understandable writing, I will say. I don't know whether I'm using the right vocabulary for that, but it's really the writing should be understandable by a lot of people. So yes, I write for art for social part. Tarek, what do you think?
Well, uh, life, literature, life. We come, uh, literature is a fruit of life and it feeds life.
Yes.
So whatever our intentions may be, art enriches, art enriches life. And I usually write so that I can understand better. Yes, and I also feel better when I write. So there is that aspect. But then, just as there is no individual without society, there can be no society without individuals. So being individuals and being societies, they interact and feed each other. And yes, basically I agree with you. But sometimes fewer people understand uh, uh, sometimes what we express, but that's okay too. Thank you so much,
Okay.
by the way.
That's okay. Thank you.
Any more questions, sir?
Well,
Any more questions, sir? Uh,
No, thank you so much. No, thank you so much.
Çok güzel
Thank you both so much.
söyleşi. Teşekkür ederim Muhsine Arda ve Tarık Gunarsal sir. Thank you so very well taken interview and very well given interview. I must say both of you have been very good in whether it was question or it was answer. And I thank both Muhsine Arda ma'am and Tariq Gunarsal sir, and I thank Muhsine Arda ma'am for introducing me to another great writer of Turkey, Tariq Gunarsal. And we will be having a workshop by Tariq Gunarsal sir on creative writing second. I hope Tariq Gunarsal is ready with for that. And not only that, this is also a book in which Muhsine Arda's ma'am's poem and short story is featured. So this is available on Amazon, but since just now we are number 2 in corona cases, so Amazon is not delivering. As soon as everything will resume, it will be available again. So I hope every people will buy this book also, Life at the Rate of Corona Time. Now this title is also symbolic because I have put at the rate of because when the whole world was in lockdown and we were in quarantine, at that time we were mostly online, and still this online procedure is going on, we are more online, but this has come as a blessing also, that we are now able to meet poet and writer around the world. We are able to share our views and opinion, which earlier we were not using. We were on Facebook, but we were not so frequently talking to each other like this we are talking. So this virtual world has also connected us more closer. So thank you so much, ma'am. And Tariq sir, Tariq Bey
Thank
is,
you.
as Turkey, it is called in Turkey. Hope we will meet again and again. And I hope your book will be very successful. It will be in the history of Turkish literature. And with all the best wishes, let me, and I hope everybody will like this book, in whether it is Turkey or world. Everybody will buy your book, read it, and understand this issue which you have highlighted in your
Thank you.
book. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Shamenaz, I really thank you and the lovely Literature Society for giving me this chance to be with you and to have this lovely program. And thanks to Tarek for asking, Tarek Günersel for asking lovely and great and kind of pushy questions, but that is the enjoyable time I have had. And I want to extend my good wishes to all the Indian viewers and the Turkish viewers around the world. And I thank you again. Thank you, Tarek. Thank you, Shahmenaz.
Teşekkür
And
ederim. Teşekkürler.
teşekkür ederim. Thank you.